Okay, last bit of the course then, we're going to have a look at quality assurance. So let's go straight to page 50. Now, when you hear mention of quality assurance, what's your initial reaction? Excitement?
I don't know, we have to do it every day.
Oh, now that's interesting.
We do it every day with walk-around checks and,
Yeah.
and with our health and safety
Yeah.
and everything. It's all part of our standard day, to be fair.
Yeah. And that's a very important point to make. So if we go back into tip 9, relevancies, money, injury, death, promoting well-being, is it fair to say that we are all involved in quality assurance every day?
Yeah.
Yes.
Most you are, certainly certain divisions are ISO 9001,
Yeah.
tankers are 45001, so
There you are, aren't
we
you?
have big QA packs and
Yeah. Now, if you weren't attending to the quality of what you do, because that's all quality assurance is, you're assuring the quality of the job that you do, will you be staying on your job for long? No, you lose your job. So there's money out the window straight away. And if you don't do things properly in your profession, particularly with regards to health and safety, what's the consequence? Death.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just death. A few accidents in between perhaps, but death at the end of it, which is a big consequence. Absolutely, you don't want to be responsible for that. And obviously there's well-being on the road as well. So quality assurance is really important. Now it's also very important in training, teaching, and there is word that the CPC might be assessed in due course. I don't know if anybody's heard of that. It's just attendance at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's always rumours in there.
For
There's always
assessment.
rumours about it.
Yes.
Oh, right.
Years, I think.
Yeah.
well, the courses themselves have to be verified and meet certain standards. They are
Indeed.
externally set standards.
Yeah,
So they actually have, the course has to be approved by the standards body.
Absolutely.
We can't just teach them
No,
anything.
it's all, the governing body for us is JAP.
Yes.
Yeah, and unless they approve it, we can't use those resources, basically, whether it's a video, whether it's PowerPoint or whatever, it has to go through them to be approved.
But I think that some of the criticism is that if it's just an attendance thing, you can be asleep for the
Well,
7 hours or 8 hours.
Well, that is the problem.
They do try to engage you a little bit.
Just a little bit.
What they're trying to do now is,
It's dry.
it's not a pass or a fail course, it is mainly attendance, but what they're trying to do is actually introduce question and answers at the end as well, to see if they've been engaged and listened, or
Which is
picked up
assessment,
anything.
isn't it?
Yeah.
That's informal assessment.
Which is what they're starting to go more towards now. It's starting to come in.
Yeah. And as you say, there is the rumour that it will become formally assessed at some point. Don't
Oh
know
yeah,
how.
we can have anybody from JAT, if we're on Zoom or Teams
Yeah.
meeting, they can actually come in and out and check us as
You're deliberate.
teachers,
Yeah.
and also that the people that were sat on the course are there as
Indeed.
well.
Indeed.
So they do come in and out.
But also the candidates, the trainees, may be assessed
Oh yeah.
formally through some sort of
Yeah.
procedure. Don't quite know what. So, looking at JOUT, and I sent you some information about JOUT when you filled in the pre-course assessment. I gave you a PDF of the relevancy to the teacher
Yeah.
training qualification. So, let's kick off then on page 50. What makes a national qualification? Well, you mentioned there, Dave, there are standards,
Mhm.
but who are the authors of those standards? That's our first question. Who on earth are the authors? Who are the people who wrote them?
Sitting guilds.
Well, City Guild is an
Yeah.
awarding
Government.
body, they're
The
administrators.
educational governing body, is it?
Well, again, they're administrators, they're marketeers, they don't know anything about each and every subject.
Government.
So would it be specialists in those
Specialists, experts in the field, so they would have to subcontract people who know in to write the programme. Alternatively, as an author, you could say, look, I've written this program, would anybody like to buy it? There's a quite a big money aspect there too. So the authors then are, as you said, they're experts, and they are subcontracted in to work on a new qualification. So they've written the qualification, they've finalised the standards, and then they have an awarding organisation that will offer it perhaps. And you'll see in the next paragraph there are over 200 awarding organisations in the UK. JAT is one of the 200, among so many others. You mentioned City and Guilds there, Rob. Did you undertake City and Guilds at all?
No, I've heard a lot
You've
about
heard
it,
of
but I've not participated.
I did.
No. Oh, you did?
I did St Guilds, yeah.
Yeah, they're very big.
Yeah.
They control many things. You also got some big players, EdXL, BTEC, Pearson, CITB. Is that health and safety?
Construction Industry Training Board, that's
Oh,
professional qualification, but it's also Sunday and there is safety as well, but it's,
Yes.
there's a large safety element to what they do.
Absolutely. The awarding body that I work with on this course is AIM Awards, and they seem to be getting bigger and bigger at the moment. So the authors then will offer or write for the awarding organisation, but Ofqual might stick their oar in as well. Could you have a read that paragraph about Ofqual? So they might get involved, particularly if there's an economic need for certain courses in the country. So what did we say were the base qualifications that people need to work with? I think you mentioned them earlier this week there. There's two key ones and another one that's important. English, maths and ICT, yeah, information communication technology. Those are the basis then. So they will offer money to those key subjects, and the point about the Learning Aim reference service is that it tells you how much money you'll get. Now, some other organisations do this, yours may or may not do. They would offer English and maths to their employees for free. They would employ English and maths tutors, but they would draw down the funding to pay for it and make a profit as well.
Okay.
So, what effect might that have on the employees if they know they're being looked after with free training?
They'll feel good. They'll want to engage and want to join that company, to be fair.
Absolutely, and stay with it as well. Yeah. So you've got better retention, because people will want to stay, and obviously the knock-on effect is you've got a more qualified workforce. So that's what the government does. It promotes economic development like that. So your own organisation, if it's big enough, can employ these people to do that job. And if you want to know how much you get, you go to the Learning Aid reference service, and there's the web address. It does change quite often, but that's what it is, or it was a few months ago. Now then, once it's been approved, the public will take the qualification, and the public will pay registration and exam fees to who that we've mentioned already. So who gets those fees?
The author?
Directly or indirectly sometimes, through the awarding organisation. So I'm going to look at the author's involvement with money in a moment.
There's always a middleman.
Absolutely.
I'll just have a look.
Now, do you know how much you pay JOUT per candidate?
No, not involving the costings.
So somebody must pay for each candidate to go through.
Yes.
Yeah, to JOUT.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not that much, but yes.
Now, if you've written the qualification, the authors, they might get a lump sum. So the awarding organisation, JOUT, might say, well, look, here's 5,000 quid to write the qualification. And now if you've got your head screwed on and say, no, I don't want a lump sum, please, what might you ask for instead?
A percentage of the profits.
Absolutely. So if you get a percentage of the profits, it's a royalty. And you'll be on a stream of income perhaps for years and years and years if you keep that qualification updated and relevant, and people want to do it because it's got a good reputation. So this could be your retirement pot, because you'll keep getting the money time and time and time again. It's like music or writing books. So there's money to be made from being an author to standards. So just something to bear in mind, another string to your bow possibly. We're looking at experts then. You don't need to be massively qualified, you just need to know the job inside out. However, if you do get public funding, you will be inspected by Ofsted. And where does that report end up once they've done the inspection? Well, yes.
Is it on the national curriculum?
Well, it's on the Ofsted website.
Yeah, the Ofsted National Board,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah.
So that means your work can be inspected by anybody. Perhaps some of you've done it with your children, where you've said, look, there's a school locally, is it any good? Let's have a look at the Ofsted report.
Yeah.
You've done that?
Yeah, I did it.
Yeah. So if it's got a bad report, are you going to send them there or not?
Not really.
No. Not if you can help it.
No.
So if you have a bad Ofsted report, it's bad news. And I've seen organisations go bankrupt because they lose their funding. There's no more money coming in if they rely on public funding. So it can be a bit of an issue there. So that's the structure in which quality assurance works. Let's look at the quality assurance that works in training, particularly your end of things. So I'm looking at the next page now, page 51. Could I ask you to read all about the role of the assessor? Is it fair to say you are assessing, either practically, physically, or written work? You are, aren't you? Absolutely. So how do you know if you're doing a good assessment job?
Hopefully by the feedback from the candidate.
Yeah.
Sometimes they say, yes, I've really enjoyed that, or
Yeah.
or sometimes you get no comment at all, so you think, what did I do wrong? How can I improve?
And have you ever had to say, particularly in the driving field, well, you can't continue anymore?
Yeah.
You have, yeah. That's your job, is it? You've got to, otherwise it's dangerous, and you'll get the blame if there's a problem. So in the next paragraph then, we're looking at people formally looking at the quality of the assessment decisions. So have a read of that paragraph. So, have you got that sort of person responsible for that sort of job here, would you say?
You?
You have?
Yes, it Yeah, but some divisions have their own technical compliance people, so they will
Alright.
look over and above what Marco, you'll see tomorrow on Monday,
Yeah.
he's actually a technical compliance officer.
Oh, right.
So he will look over and above what the trainers are doing.
And is that the sort of thing you're referring to where you work?
No, I was thinking like, here today, you're assessing us.
Very
Very assess someone
informally,
else.
yeah. Yeah.
It's sort of structured.
It's the assignment work, so that is the formal assessment.
Yeah.
Mm. But no, Marco is the one that oversees, when we're doing CPCs and things like that, we have a thing where we fill in that we've done that, how we think it went, etc., and then Marco will actually go in and look at it to make sure we actually met the criteria.
Excellent.
So yes, Marco is actually the person, that's what I said, is Sharon Turner's right-hand man, basically.
Right.
And he will go in and look at that to make sure it's all being met, and we meet the needs of JOUT's expectation as well.
Excellent. So he's got a handle on what JOUT wants, and therefore he's got to marshal effective and quality.
So if there's anything not right, he'll
Yeah.
obviously have a close chat with the person.
Well, now this is an issue because is it fair to say he or somebody in this position might be treading on glass?
Possibly at times, yeah,
Yeah.
At
why?
times, possibly.
Uh,
Why might it be difficult?
because of people's reactions and
Yeah.
how they feel.
Because if you've got to say, well, I don't think you're meeting the standards, they might insist that they are. Thank you very much.
Oh, as long as you did your bit properly, I think you're all right. Because
Well-
you got certain standards.
we-
It's 16 mistakes, it's a fail. One
Yeah.
big mistake, it's automatic fail.
Yeah,
Right.
So there is no deviating from that.
But surely sometimes it's your interpretation.
yeah, well,
Well,
It's sometimes not black and white, is it?
but we have feedback from the drivers
Oh,
on
right.
our courses, so they actually give a feedback,
So another bit of evidence. then.
yeah, of what they thought of the person taking that session. So there is a feedback system from the drivers that comes back to them as well. So it's not just our word,
You've got the drivers as well.
you've got the drivers as well. So, you know, and hopefully as long as it's constructive criticism, you can work with that. You just don't want the negatives and, you know, you think,
they can come back and try again, it's not
Yes, absolutely.
just on that day.
yeah.
But sometimes, though, the person in Marco's position is younger and less experienced
I know.
than the person they're overseeing, and that again can lead to problems sometimes. So that sounds good. So I look forward to seeing Marco again on the Monday. Now that's the role of the internal verifier, to look after the assessor, do as you said there, Dave, what Marco does. However, the next bit is often neglected. So could I ask you to read this so important paragraph there? Now, when the authors wrote the standards in the first place, how many interpretations of those standards would there have been? Just one.
Yeah.
That's now been accepted by the awarding body. It's been perhaps approved by the government. So you cannot deviate from that one interpretation, even if you strongly disagree.
Mm.
So this is where it gets very difficult, because we all think we know best, don't we?
Mm.
And that's why standardisation sessions can get very argumentative, but somebody's got to moderate that session to say, look, it doesn't matter what you think and what your experience has been. this is the way the awarding body in the government wants you to tackle this particular standard. So without those, lots of people will deviate from the standards because they all think they know best. So standardisation is the one occasion where you can all get together and realise, well actually, yes, I need to change things a little bit perhaps. I've done a few of those and they can get very, very argumentative, but at the end of the day actually I have felt quite relieved and confident actually that I will be able to do my job even better. But it's not easy. And then finally we've got the role of the external verifier. So have a quick read of that paragraph. Now, who will employ this person?
It's going to be the government, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the awarding body, possibly the government, if they're in Ofsted, for example. So it's quite high ranking, but on what basis are they employed? Is it going to be full-time, part-time or contract?
I think it's more contract
It is.
these days.
Yeah.
Because the people I've spoken to when I've done my PVP from the SQA,
Yeah.
you know, that we get randomly checked every now and then, they're all self-employed and
Exactly. Now, what age profile might they be? Young, old, in the middle?
I've had quite varied, to be fair. Normally, I'm trying to be tactful here without being ageist. That's the problem. You know, some of them are normally above 35 and over. I'll put it that way, okay? To be tactful.
Indeed. But that can be an issue sometimes. Often it's a great source of experience, but if you've been working in that area 20 years ago, things are a bit different nowadays. And you've got the money to work self-employed on a contract, and therefore you're not working full-time perhaps in the area that you used to work in.
Yeah.
And I've had that in teacher training where people are looking at video evidence and they say, well, no, you've got to be with people in person. Why would you use video? And the rest of us are saying, well, video is a thing that people use. It's a tool. Why can't we use it? So there can be arguments with that, and if you're on the wrong side of the verifier, what can they do now, this external verifier?
Yeah, they can take your qualification away.
They can take the accreditation away. And if you're in paid training, all those candidates are going to say, well, could I have my money back, please?
Yeah.
And this is again where you might go bankrupt because you haven't got the money left. So that's what quality assurance is. It has been like that for decades, and when you bump across it sometimes it can be a bit annoying, but if you get used to it, it can be quite a source of confidence for you. It's there to do the job. Right, thank you for that. Are you all happy with that for the moment-ish? Because you do need to demonstrate your knowledge of this in the assignment work later on, but that's got nothing to do with Monday. But later on you will need to demonstrate you're aware of this. So looking on the screen now at the list of objectives, do you feel you've achieved all 4, do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we spent a long time doing number 1 and then we've whipped through the others. So thank you very much for that. And then finally then, if you want to have a chat to me now about your own session, please do. You can email me any questions, or you might want to email me your lesson plan. I'll be available up to about 6:30 on Sunday evening. So I'll work Saturdays and Sundays as well. Otherwise, I shall see you for 9:15 to kick off at 9:30.